Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Azure episodes. Today, we have an interesting guest who is willing to share his experience for taking one of the most sought Microsoft certification, the AZ-400. But before we get started, I would like everyone to, first of all, please, if you're watching this, wherever you're watching it from, you subscribe to our YouTube channel and also put into the chat who you want to have on the video on one of our videos next, or any resources you are looking for towards cloud development or even DevOps itself. While I go ahead to introduce our speaker for today's session, I would like everyone to react with how they're feeling and wherever they're joining from. So I would add our speaker to the streaming platform right now. So welcome Oluwatomisin Bello. So Tosin is our speaker for today, and I'll let him to introduce himself and we'll go ahead from there. Welcome, Tosin.
All right. Thanks for having me, Ahmed. Okay, so my name is Oluwatomisin. So it's Tomisin.
Oh,
So
it's Tomisin,
Tosin
sorry. Yeah.
told me if my
Okay, I'll
mom
just call
catches
you
you
Tommy
with
then.
Tomisin, she'll be
Is
quite
Tommy better?
angry. Yeah, Tommy is better. Tommy is
Oh,
way
okay.
better. All right.
Okay, Tommy,
Okay,
welcome
so my
to
name is Oluwatomisin.
Mhm.
Thank you
Please
for
go ahead.
having me. So I'm a software developer with two years experience, 2 years professional experience. Um, so I'm a full stack developer. I work mostly with Python and JavaScript, creating full stack web projects and dabble into cloud engineering. So for me, cloud engineering is something that makes my job as a software developer easier because I get to create reliable sites on different platforms, and I get to also play around with technologies that I can't um, physically have, like hardwares that I can't like handle, and I get to see them online. I get to see them handle applications online. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, so you are a software developer, and before we start the series of questions towards the AZ-400 exam, what got you intrigued to get started with cloud engineering and particularly DevOps itself?
Okay, so cloud engineering is basically split into like different sections. There's the security part of it, the administration part of it, and also the DevOps part of it. So I felt as a software developer, it's one of the section I could easily transit into, right? Because the concept of DevOps is about creating a process in which software development is easily deployed, is easily integrated with other um, applications or SDKs, and you get to test and monitor it. So I felt going into DevOps is more of advancing my career, and it is actually, right? So I I started out as a full stack developer, right? And everybody mentions full stack developer, but then you have to like be focused on one. So I was more majorly focused on front end development with React. I enjoy React. I enjoy building client side applications. And there was this stigma where everybody feels if you're working with a React project, you have to either deploy to Vercel or Netlify, and you can't deploy it to normal servers anymore. And it didn't quite stick with me, right? So I think I had a project in which the client had um added an AWS credit and wanted me to deploy on AWS. And that was my first touch at um doing a project on the AWS instance, right? So that was my first intro into cloud engineering. Then I later decided to go into like a boot camp. I don't know if you heard of Alt School. So
Yep.
I, I completed old school for the sake of learning and I think getting a job in cloud engineering, which I'm yet to get or working towards it. So I completed that and there was a lot of practicals and then came along the cloud skill challenge. So basically, I would say my learning in technology has basically just grabbing opportunities when it matters. So a cloud skill challenge, I think it's ran for 2 months, right? So Microsoft provided good resources, and what they needed us to do was to complete those resources to get a free voucher. And I was able to complete the voucher, and I got the AZ. I was able to complete the challenge, and I got the AZ-400 voucher. And since then, I've been going through um, various communities, right? So I joined Microsoft Azure community last year. I volunteered for a program, right? So yeah, I think that's quite a lengthy one.
Yeah, that's amazing because I'll be posting the links of Alt School. So for context, everyone joining, Alt School is an edtech platform where you can upskill in different across different tech skills, web development, cloud engineering, and also non-technical skills such as product management and the rest of them. I'll be sharing the link later on as we commence. So for additional context on some of the things Tosin mentioned, such as the cloud skill challenge. The cloud skill challenges are niched resources across on Microsoft Learn where you can upskill on different segments of Microsoft technologies such as Azure, Microsoft 365, and the rest of them. So I'm glad that Tosin was able to utilize this and also get a voucher. And if you join events such as Microsoft Build and the rest of flag bearing Microsoft events, you'll be able to get particularly a voucher or particularly learn more about Microsoft technologies. So thank you so much, Tosin, for giving insights on all of these things. So I'll move ahead to some of the questions and also for AZ-400, a lot of people that have been asking what is AZ-400. So I would allow Tosin to give more insights. What is Azure 400 exam and what is it about?
Okay, so the AZ-400 exam is basically an exam to test you on your knowledge about DevOps process using Azure DevOps and Microsoft's platform. Aside that, it basically also gives you the general overview of how well do you know the DevOps um, side of things. How well can you create pipelines? What do you understand by using a particular technology? What are the advantages and disadvantages of using a particular technology than other? Why should you use a VM instead of a container, right? So the exam is a test, and it's also a prerequisite to becoming a Microsoft certified DevOps expert, right? So to become a Microsoft certified DevOps expert, you need the AZ-400 exam, and you need two other prerequisites, which is um, the Azure Administrator and the Azure DevOps exam. No, Azure Developer Associate exam. Exactly. So you need those
Absolutely.
two certificates and the AZ-400 exam. So I just recently, I got the AZ-400 exam, and I'm looking towards getting the two other certificates, and then I'm a cloud DevOps expert.
Absolutely. That's fantastic to hear. So I will talk from my own point of experience as well. So I've as a Microsoft student ambassador, we get different vouchers. And I recently graduated from school. So when I was in my final year, I was able to write the AZ900, which is Azure Fundamentals, learning about the Azure ecosystem. And last year, September, I was able to write the AZ104. And it was quite cumbersome because we have to go through different modules, almost like 12 modules or 12 learning parts. So it's quite cumbersome. And the last one of which I was supposed to write is this year is at 400. And I was so excited when I was able to get Tosin to I had reached out to a friend of mine who posted about Tosin's Oluwatomisin achievement, and I was able to get his
Thank you.
contact details and to share his experience about this particular exam because it's an exam I'm also looking forward to writing myself. So I'll go towards the questions that we have today to aid people that are also looking forward to write this particular exam. So the particular exam is named Designing and Implementing Microsoft DevOps Solutions, which is known as AZ-400. So I would also like to enable Tosin to walk us through some of the questions that we've marked out today, such as some of them are focused across study strategies and also exam preparation. So, for example, Tosin, can you give us insights on how you walked through, how was your study schedule like, and how you managed your time effectively to prepare for the exam?
First and foremost, it was chaos. Right. So basically, right. The
Mm,
first thing is this: Microsoft provides more than enough resources for you to like learn. And the question is, how do you like guide yourself? Like there are so many resources. How do you decide that this is more important than this and just keep pushing it, right? So, and that's it for all cloud platform, AWS or Google Cloud, like a lot of resources. So, funny enough, the Cloud Skill Challenge, the modules to get it are still on Microsoft's website. The challenge is over, but the learning modules are still there, right? So, the first thing first is to try and complete the learning module. Now, the first thing I did was completing the learning modules. There are practical sections in it, right? And these practical sections, there's usually the, should I say, there's usually the, let me know, I want to use the word challenge, but like I'm using it a lot. But yeah, there's usually the challenge of getting access to the Microsoft portal, um, that's getting free voucher, free credit, and being able to do the practicals, right? So I think I initially had that. So I just kept the practicals, do a lot of like soft reading where you're just understanding what's actually being said, like taking notes, following the curriculum from beginning to the scratch. So that helped. And funny enough, I after that all that I was going to write the exam. Like I was prepared to write the exam as at last year, um, I think September, because yeah, right. I was even at the center already and in front of my computer already, but for some reason the computer didn't work, like my questions didn't come in. And I would say that's like a little bit of luck on my hand because I had to use the voucher after the challenge in the next 2 months. I didn't feel prepared enough. No matter, I will be sincere with you, I didn't feel prepared enough. I just knew, well, I'd gone through the modules and I don't know what I'm expecting. Right. Let me just write it and know that I didn't waste the voucher. But lucky enough, I got 1 year because I got 1 year extra on my voucher because it wasn't my fault that the computers of the system of the testing centers didn't work. So that was their own way of saying, okay, we're sorry about this. You get 1 year free. So during this 1 year, what I tried to achieve was the practical um, aspect of things, right? So as of September, I was still a student also. I was in my final year. It was just about graduating. So I applied for the AWS student credits, which gives you $200 on your AWS Azure portal. And applying for that, I decided to start playing around with the portal, right? Earlier on, I understood infrastructure as a code. I understood the DevOps um, concept outside Azure portal, right? I didn't just know the Azure resources. I didn't know um, what a VM is called in Azure, which is actually called Azure VM. I didn't know how the container technology works, right? So I didn't know these names, right? So the first thing I go familiar with what's each resource. Like you can't actually finish all the resources on Azure portal. Focus on the popular technologies that we use. Understand how to create a VM instance. Understand how to create a load balancer, understand the networking principles, understand the container technology, and packaging also, right? Creating packages like NPM
okay.
packages. Yeah. So after that, I was lucky enough to get into the NESA skill mentorship. Basically, I would say this is like the the cherry on the cake, right? So the mentorship, when getting into the mentorship, right? initially we thought like most of the people coming to the show, we thought like it was a beginners program, but it turns out that after each class, they just give us hands-on projects. So regardless of if you're a beginner, you have to figure out how it works. So trying to become a DevOps enthusiast or a DevOps engineer, you have to understand first, you're not supposed to know everything, right? You're actually supposed to be able to just get the required knowledge or get the required resource to figure out how to implement a particular solution, right? So um, a company comes to you and tells you, we want you to create a network that is private, right? For our system, for our building, and we want to connect to another building in Abuja, right? But it's still a private network, and you want to do it on the cloud, right? You have to understand, okay, how is that going to work, right? So initially, you won't know. Basically, like I didn't know how to do something like that. But it turns out that once you actually search for this hands-on project, you search for how they connect to each other, you actually get how to get it done. So nasal skill helped in me pushing myself because right now I work as a software developer at Babaguna, and it might be tedious as a software developer once in a while trying to juggle work and learning, right? Well, it's a great company where no matter how tedious it gets at the office, they always try to want to know what's your progress, what's your journey in learning, and how are you improving on yourself, right? So that also helped, right? So basically, the first thing to do is go through the resources provided by Microsoft's Cloud Skill Challenge. That's the AZ-400. Go through those models. The second thing is to do is if you don't have access to Azure Portal during like while going through those models, don't fret. Leave the practicals aside. Understand the concept of things, right? And the next thing, which is the final one, is actually preparing for an exam, right? So earlier on, the first time I tried writing the exam, I didn't know what to expect, right? I was just like there because I wanted to just get it done. But I think 2 or 3 days before the exam, I stumbled on a particular website because I was trying to look for what are the possible questions that could be asked on this exam. I'm going for an exam now. We have to use past questions or something, and there has to be something online. So I started googling and all. In fact, I can say is that the morning of the exam, that's when I stumbled on the website and I just was going through all the questions, as much questions as we go through, because they just have a lot of questions on the website, and I was just going through all of them over and over again. So it turns out most of the questions I stumbled on came out in the Microsoft exam that I wrote, right? So it was more like I know this question already. I didn't even have to read too much about it. I just clicked it. You know that kind of vibe now, right? So
Yeah.
it really helped. So I will share it. I just shared it on a private chat, right? Is exam topics, the Microsoft AZ-400. So first, I knew like the resources and the technologies on Microsoft thanks to the Cloud Skill Challenge. Second, I did hands-on practical, right? Hands-on practical, like creating, deploying applications, deploying a resource on Azure portal using Azure DevOps. You know, there's the Azure DevOps, there's the Azure portal,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So get familiar with Azure DevOps. Get familiar with all that technologies. No, not get familiar with it. Rather, know the advantage of using Azure DevOps instead of using other technologies, right? More like Azure Repo provides you like free repository, unlike using maybe GitLab or GitHub, like that kind of thing, right? So understand that. The next is the hands-on practical. The final thing is get familiar with the kind of exams that you want to, like the kind of questions that will come on your exam. So the Azure exam, no, the Microsoft AZ-400 exam is split into, if I'm not mistaken, okay, let me just open this link that you put here. It's split into four, right? So um, there's I think the CI/CD pipeline. Yeah, there's the design and implementation of processes and communications, right? So this talks about like the project management of the as a DevOps person, right? So you have to understand how we can create processes whereby after something is done, right? Think of it like a Kanban board, right? An
Mm-hmm.
agile method, things like that, right? So understand those things, then understand how you can implement them in Azure DevOps, right? Because Azure DevOps provides you with the Azure board, they provide you with the Azure repo, right? And I think they have a wiki platform where you can also take notes and all. So the next thing is designing and implementing a source control strategy. So that's trying to understand how you can track your code, how is the best way for developers to collaborate on the code. We're very much all familiar with GitHub. Turns out that GitHub is now a Microsoft software. So some part of GitHub comes out in the exam. And then there's also the Azure repo. So yeah, you have to learn how both of them works, how you can track commits on it. So the next thing is the build and release pipelines. Now, learning about build and release pipeline actually um, was quite challenging for me because I understood that if you want to develop an application or you want to deploy it, you just push your code to GitHub, or if you're using Vercel, and then Vercel does this thing, right? Well, the actual question is, what does it do, right? How do you set the release time or the release strategy for a particular application? Meaning, how do you monitor the application if it's doing well, right? There are different release strategies. Oh, there's the what do you call it? There's the canary developed deployment, right? There's the I think red and blue or something blue and black, right? So that kind of deployment, which strategy is better than each other, right? So you understand that, you also understand not just knowing it, but how to actually design and implement it using Azure DevOps, right? Because, well, it's Azure DevOps exam. So develop a security and compliance plan. Well, for me, but well, the thing is, Azure, Microsoft is going to choose from this. Okay, I think there are five. Let me just copy them and send to the chat. Oh, it's not listed well. All right. So understand how
So
to create a security and compliance plan and also implement an instrumentation strategy. Instrumentation strategy is about monitoring and insights. So there's the application insights. How can you monitor your application? How can you monitor your deployment? And also, how can you improve on it? So yeah, just five things.
yeah, thank you very much. And I would just want to add some couple of questions. Hope you can hear me because I have a little bit of
Yeah,
noise.
it's like the festivities have started on your hand.
Yeah, so I'll put on my headset. So I'll just sorry for the noise, everyone. So my family members are around, so I'll put in my headset right now. So the next question I have for you is, I mean, you've given us a comprehensive insight on how you use different study packs, and I've dropped the link in the chat. The next question I have is how I mean, you mentioned the mock exams, which I did use exam topics as well when I was preparing for my AZ-104. It was quite helpful. So the next question I have is, how did you stay motivated and how did you avoid burnout in your preparation?
Hmm. How did I stay motivated?
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically, I want to break into DevOps. Like, I really want to transit from a software developer to being a DevOps or a site reliability engineer, right? Because I'm very much passionate about it, right? So I think that's what keeps me motivated. So I'm guessing the noise is coming from Ahmed's end. So let me just talk about keeping yourself motivated. So keeping yourself motivated, I also try to put myself in communities, right? When I was in art school basically had a Slack channel where you could talk with older software engineers or other DevOps enthusiasts, right? So on that Slack channel, sometimes it becomes quiet. So basically, I had my final project. I created a cloud community, basically, let me call it that, on WhatsApp. And what I tried to achieve, while it might look like I was creating a community, was basically also to keep myself accountable, right? So basically, I told everyone that while we're going through the cloud skill challenge, everyone should drop their updates every day on what they learned, where they're having difficulties, right? So on WhatsApp, everybody comes, drop like what they covered on cloud skill. I also dropped mine, and it kept everyone accountable, right? That was, in fact, that was the major way I could complete the cloud skill challenge. That particular WhatsApp community. Uh, it's right now it's not active, but I guess I could share it maybe later on. But yeah, also first thing first, know like what you're trying to achieve, right? Like just have an end goal, visualize it somehow. And I visualize becoming a DevOps and site reliability engineer. The second thing is have a community, like people you can talk to. When you're starting out, initially your WhatsApp will not even have anybody that you know that is doing DevOps, right? So you have to like go out there, go to Twitter, go to LinkedIn, check out programs that do mentorship, check out programs that do cloud related stuffs, like chat with them, complete the programs. When you start completing programs and you start um, reading with people, you just at some point in time you're already part of the community, and yeah, that's what keeps you motivated, right? And the cloud community is a very good community.
That's that's a fantastic. I mean, I'm someone that goes with the principle of Ubuntu, and Ubuntu means I've forgotten the main definition, but it's something about carrying your community along and working with a group set of people to make sure that no matter what you're going to, you have people you could reach out to and people that will motivate you as well. I mean, there's intrinsic and extrinsic part of motivation, but being part of a community is very, very good to and to achieving any kind of objective you've laid down for yourself. So I'm moving into the main exam now. What was the most challenging part of the AZ-400 exam for you, and how did you tackle it?
Okay, so basically the exam lasted for like 150 minutes. That was like that's close to 2 hours, right? But I think I completed earlier than 2 hours. So it was split into um three sections, right? The first section, right? And the only challenge I had was once you complete a section, you can't go back to the previous section, like you're done. So you have to make up your mind that I'm not coming back to this, right? And before the Microsoft exam, I had written the intro to cybersecurity. And in my head, I was like, I think these guys just set me up to fail, right? So for the introduction to cybersecurity, when I was completing like a question and going to the next one, you can't go back. Like no matter if I don't know, something just pops up in your mind and you're like, oh, I made a mistake in question one. You can't go back, right? So I was kind of prepared for that when I was coming for the AZ-400 exam. I was like, I just had this experience like 2 weeks ago. I don't plan on failing this exam. So like I was prepared for like get the right question and move on, right? But it turns out the AZ-400 was split into three sections. The first section was more of like a, a practical section, not a practical in which you have to bring out your DevOps or your DevOps portal or write any code or like it's kind of no. It gave a practical insight of you a company has a particular issue, how do you solve it? It gave a scenario kind of question, right? And the scenario kind of question lasted for like I think 10 questions and same scenario, 10 different questions, and you have to answer all of them, right? After that section, once you're sure about it, you move on to the next section, right? So next section was more or less like the normal options where you have to pick a look at the question and pick an option. Now, where I only had issue was I was a little bit rusty on some practical things. Like during the the exam, there were some questions that are related to code, like infrastructure as code. So there was some ARM questions, like using our Azure Resource Manager, and I wasn't like very familiar with using our Azure Resource Manager. I've used Terraform, I've used normal pipelines, but I wasn't familiar with Azure Resource Manager. So I had to just use my intuition to probably pick the question, which I don't know if it was correct or right, but yeah, I passed the exam and probably some were correct or some were right. The next challenge I had was PowerShell. Um, okay, I am a Linux. Like, I prefer using Linux than Windows system personally. So I've been using Linux since like the last 2 years, right? Right now I'm using the Windows system because it's my work laptop and I'm very much getting into it back. But I've stopped using Windows since the first version of Windows 10, right? Switching from Windows 8 to Windows 10, I stopped using Windows. I've been using Linux, moved from Ubuntu to Kali. So I'm very much familiar with the Bash terminal. But for this exam, because it's a Microsoft exam, most of the questions come in PowerShell exam and comes in PowerShell questions, right? So when you're preparing for your AZ-400 and you're familiar with Bash, you're familiar with your favorite CLI, if you have a Windows system, try and lean forward to using PowerShell. Like, just try and learn PowerShell. Even though, even after the exam, I'm still not looking forward to learning PowerShell because I'm like, I can achieve everything by Bash CLI, please leave me, right? But Microsoft still wants you to use PowerShell. And I think PowerShell is powerful when you learn it actually, right? So yeah, that was the only challenge I had. Then the final section was uh a kind of logic and reasoning question. Well, all questions are logical and reasonable, but like this kind of question, the final section, you don't know if it's right or if it's correct. Like they just wanted to give your own um opinion about it. And that was the last section. And I did give my opinion, right? So yeah, that was how it went. The major challenge I had was the PowerShell,
Yeah,
the AR.
I mean, yeah, I do understand like the need for Microsoft for people to learn PowerShell because it's a kind of scripting language. So you gotta learn Bash or you learn PowerShell. So when I was also preparing for my Z100, I didn't know a lot of PowerShell. I knew Bash scripting and I knew about ARM. Fortunately for me, then I understand how Microsoft infrastructure works and I could write ARM template. And there's something called Bicep. So bicep is more of like like an abstraction of like ARM templates. So imagine you're able to programmatically set some parameters when you're setting up your Azure infrastructure and also write it in like the programming syntax. So if you are looking forward to learning about infrastructure as a code, I think you should check out Bicep. I'll put the link in the chat as well. So the next thing for Tommy, the next question we have lined up is are there any common mistakes or misconceptions that candidates should be aware of when preparing for the AZ-400?
Uh, yeah, the first one is that it's very hard, right? Because basically, I've been pushing this exam because a lot of um notable people in cloud have been telling me the AZ-400 is an hard exam, and sincerely, it's not hard if you have the experience, right? If you have, if you can build the experience on using the Azure platform, using the Azure portal, right? Implementing DevOps processes. As a software developer, instead of going to Vercel, you deploy your application using Azure portal. Um, then yeah, also telling yourself it's not hard is not because it's not hard. It's like so that you're well prepared and you're confident enough to write the exam. Because I think at the end of the day, it's the confidence that matters. Like the exam is for two things, right? Is to let you be confident about what you know, and also let you be confident about what you don't know, right? So once you write the exam and you basically don't pass it, you're confident enough to know that okay, these are a particular part of the exam that I don't understand, right? And you're ready to improve and learn more about it and come back and write it, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
that's it for me.
no, that's it. That I mean, I'm someone that says when you are pumped and inside, you're like, although the exam might be hard, it takes a lot of like practice and preparation. But once you make up your mind and you go through the resources, I mean, something that I always say is once you go through the resources, you try to work on the hands-on practical. You should have this amount of confidence when you're going into the exam that I'm well prepared for this exam. I've done everything I needed to do. So my next question for you, Tommy, is how has obtaining the AZ-400 certification impacted your career or professional growth?
All right. So basically, right now, it's only helped my career in terms of how I implement processes, right? I'm planning to get like a job in the DevOps aspect, right? So I'm also led. It's a step forward to getting the DevOps certified certificate, expert certificate. But then getting this particular exam and passing it has opened me to um meeting new people in the DevOps community, meeting new what do you call it, new experts, right? So begin to oh, you passed this exam, I got your number from like the way you came up to me, right? The same way I've also met like some um great people on the DevOps platform, right? So uh for now that's what I have, right? And
Mm-hmm.
basically, at where I work, they don't make use of Microsoft, right? They make use of Google Cloud, right? So uh, I'm still looking for how to like put all the knowledge I have to actually add value to a company, to add value to a product, aside from learning, right? So, but then now I know I have this knowledge. Now I know I can also go for the next um, step in my career of becoming a certified expert. Right. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, um, the good thing is that you're also working on hands-on projects to more of like show your put your knowledge to use, because these projects, in as much as you've passed the exams, you would need to continually work on projects. Whether it's just like your own personal project or official project, that would help you. So now I'm shifting towards like hands-on project and real world project. Can you share some of the hands-on projects you worked on while preparing for this exam?
All right. So basically, first and foremost, so like the the project on creating resources on the Azure portal. That helped me understand the Azure resources. The next one, project on deploying applications or infrastructure on the Azure portal using ARM, Azure Resource Manager. Also, deploying applications, building artifacts, building packages from your code using Azure DevOps, and connecting it to Azure portal and deploying on Azure portal, right? So with those three things, you're basically good to go. If you can do that, you understand the resources on Azure portal. If you can also use the ARM or PowerShell or the Azure CLI, right? And also connect the Azure DevOps to Azure portal, like deploy things using the Azure DevOps and the Azure portal. Yeah, That's it for me. Probably like I'm trying to have like a blog where I put up like what projects I've worked on. Probably like it's on my
Yeah.
GitHub. It's on my GitHub
Yeah.
currently, but like just a rough
Is it
write
is
up.
it
Like
for is it public and is it something you could share? I mean,
yeah, it's
oh,
it's it's public, but like it's unrefined. That's just it.
okay. So probably we just wait for the refined version, and once it's ready, I'll post it to this channel and add it as part of the description as well. That's okay.
All right. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Okay. So some of the other questions that we have is it depends on like the community side of things. What question um what questions do you often get by other professionals about the AZ-400 exam? Like after you pass the exam, did anybody walk up to you and like this particular set of questions, or what was the thing that people did ask from you the most till you passed the exam?
Well, there's a popular question of how do I get into tech? All right,
Yeah.
so like basically I have friends that want to get into tech and over keep asking how do I get into tech? Well, you get into tech by doing tech, right? So you get into tech by like doing things in tech, right? You, when I have a friend that knows me, like when I got the certificate, it was like, ah, bro, you really deserve this stuff because he gave scenarios of when I was like way younger and I'm opening my system. I'm trying to understand how the system works, like I'm coupling it back, that kind of passion for it, right? So uh yeah, I would say like just build passion for it because at the end of it is the passion for it that drives you. Even though you don't have the passion, just build it. Like I don't know.
Yeah. To
Yeah.
add to that as well, I believe that a lot of people are more curious about now AI is available. Is it less important for you to learn test skills? I mean, this the other side of those that are already into the field already knows that it's advantageous for you to understand how these technical skills can help you build a better financial independence. It's not a get rich scheme, but if you do understand how some of these technologies do work and you have like hands-on experience and these certifications to back it up. Um, I'm one of those people that I highly rate hands-on, like projects you've worked on. Like Tommy said, working on those projects would help you put what you've learned to use. And by the time you have all this portfolio and you know, even if it's on your GitHub or you have a blog that you document them, imagine you going for actual job interviews and you already have like the entire project stack up. Yeah, and that gives you an upper edge. And also, you are able to like showcase your skills and all of that. Yeah, so I don't think tech is a waste. And there's something. Not everybody has passion for tech. It's fine, but you should at least try to get some technical skills under your belt because it would help you advance in your current role or future roles that you're looking into as well. So um, I think we've adjusted the list of the questions that we have. And just Tommy, do you have any feedback you'd like to give to the audience or any last words that you'd like to share as well?
Uh okay. Yeah. I said from build your passion, like being in tech might at some point be draining, right? Because it's not all rose and the other stuff. But like being in tech might actually need you to have like a certain level of dedication, right? So just be prepared for that and never let go of that dedication, never let go of that passion. Thank you for having me, Ahmed.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tommy, and we really appreciate you taking time. And this session was entirely planned within set of 6 days. I had to like be in Tommy's DM constantly to come on this. Like we literally met this week. That's how crazy it was. Like, thank you for honoring our invitation, and we appreciate you. And I really appreciate you from my own personal standpoint for you taking time to come and share your experience. So, thank you everyone for joining
No,
today. I do hope that you did get a little bit of information on how to prepare for the AZ-400. And if you do have any questions, please put it in the chat, and we'll be glad to share it with Tommy and get feedback from him as well. If you want to connect with Tommy, I'll be putting his LinkedIn details and also like his Twitter handle in the screen right now, so you can see. Let me quickly format it in a proper manner. So apologies, everyone. So you can have that. So I'll be posting his link, Twitter handle first. Just a minute. Let me put in here. So that's Tommy Twitter handle at underscore T Bello, and his LinkedIn. Let me grab his LinkedIn as well, so you can go ahead to connect with Tommy as well on his LinkedIn. And just a minute, let me grab that as well, so we can have it on the screen. Just a minute. Okay, so Tommy is T Bello. You can see it on the screen as well. So thank you so much for everyone for joining today, and big thank you to Tommy for coming on board to share his experience and also his preparation tips and projects he worked on to prepare for the AZ-400. And see you in the next session. Bye everyone.
All
Bye.
right, bye.
Bye.